ideas for enhancement specifically?
Well, I think, when I talked with Rick and David about it, and Chris and I going through this, and we actually walked through Jeff's area, which is frankly, more updated than the men's side of it. If you walked upstairs and went through it, but we looked at graphics, we looked at rooms where there's walls, even the sleep room on the men's side, things that are, whether they're utilized or not, and how to use, now that you look back, if you had to do over again, what would you do? And I think we've even looked at NBA arenas, where the weight rooms are, where the training rooms are, as they're, if there's sliding glass doors in between. And we've looked at a variety of things, but now we'll bring in more of an expert than us, a third party, to help guide us through it. But it was more create the sizzle, more functionality, and I think on the academic side, we have a great room, multi-purpose room upstairs, and we think we can do more with it and kind of make it a microcosm of our Thornton Academic Center.
I see that it's 60,000 square feet. Will it expand that area too?
Well, we've looked at that as well. I think if we expand it, it's because we relocate the weight room. It's currently a two-story, in between the men's and women's basketball, and we've talked about whether we should use that differently. I think we consider whether we use it for a lounge and then create a new strength conditioning area.
It won't be an addition type thing on the
It
building?
would be.
Oh.
Yeah, it would be. You'd have to add space if we were to take it and make it a one floor. I hate to get too far into the weeds, but we've even considered, we do have some utility issues on the back of the building to consider, but it'd be nice if we had a one floor weight room that's stretched across both men's and women's that would be, could have sliding glass doors.
Sort of like a Planet Fitness.
Sort of like a Planet
Good job. Vince, when do you anticipate starting?
Yeah, I think the first things first, just getting the signage moved, but I think that we've talked about engaging with a third party. Coincidentally, the reason this runs nicely and intact, and I think you'll hear, this is probably the first of hopefully a couple more announcements that we'll have in the near term, but we've had an RFP going on for all of our facilities because I wanted to make sure we were up to speed on where we are with all the facilities that you see down Floyd Street, and so that's been narrowed down. I think we're down within 2. And we will pick one third-party partner that'll come in and help us work through each of these facilities and best guide us. We would look to leverage them probably on the structure and then maybe someone else on the graphics.
Do you expect that the money that, in this deal and the outgoing money from KFC, is that all going to go into this renovation, or are you going to replenish any of the endowment funds, or what's the plan?
Yeah, I think that there is a different plan around that. I mean, and that'll come up, I think as we get to more announcements, that we'll have, I'm not trying to tease you too much, but we're close on a couple other opportunities that, but I think what Rick and David have done here is, really taking the lead, which they've been leaders in a lot of ways, and this is going to help, I think, in those other conversations. But I think that our thought is, you're probably closer to our financials than most in the room, even including our coaches, frankly. And I think that you can see where we're in good shape in our financials today, particularly in what we're doing funds. But the idea is to replenish dollars back into that endowment. But I think with just where we stand today with our donors and outstanding pledges, it's not the proper time. I would say when I walked in the door, I said, if I look at our balance sheet, it wasn't the proper time to launch a campaign. I think until we have great detail and that transparency to talk about what we want to do in all these facilities before we talk about how much of that would be bank debt versus investment versus donor dollars on how we would, over the next 3 to 5 years, enhance our facilities or renovate them.
So you expect to spend the bulk of this on the renovation?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's kind of what I was getting.
Yeah.
Last question. This building's only 11 years old, I guess. How do you have to do something like this to stay ahead of the Joneses, so to speak?
Well, I think it varies by sport and how well you do it the first time. And I think there are some oddities about some of the layout that we have here. Certainly it's, you're not going to walk recruits, mothers and fathers down from upstairs down through the nutrition area where there's not a door to the locker room. So it creates, you got to take them through the gym and around. So I think we try to think about functionality, but this, I would say, you're going to look at these probably, somewhere in that 5 to 10 year range, depending on what's going on in that sport. And this one, it's been 11 years. And while Jeff's had some minor upgrades upstairs and Scott Teeter's had a little bit, The men's has been pretty stagnant. I mean, we've changed a couple wall graphics, but it's pretty much the same if you walked around in the facility and looked at what's hanging on the walls and versus, you know, the way others represent their traditional legacy. We've got to enhance that, but, you know, like I said, it's hard to answer a pinpoint, but 10 years is long in these day and times.
Vince, while we have you, just to clarify, have you had any discussions about naming rights on the actual football stadium? A new name?
Not today.
No.
Thanks, Vince.
Get rid of that Chick-fil-A